Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
I had duplicated a ballot earlier that day. It was quite open. It worked well. I was asked by a table supervisor to participate in it. The ballot was stained. We worked through it. Everything was cool. We went to this one, and they were duplicating it, and I told the table manager that I needed to see those results, and he said I couldn't. And I said, why not? This is my job. I need to be able to see what the differences are between these two. And he said, no, duplicating ballots is just like voting. It's a personal endeavor, and I was not allowed to look at it. I stayed there for 4 ballots, and it all happened the same. I asked to challenge the ballots, and he said he would not be doing that. What else is there? Okay, I am also an engineer, so let's get to some of that. Every computer on Tuesday morning had an error code in the right-hand corner that says update was overdue. It was flashing on every single computer I looked at. I looked at least 20 of them. Also, about a third of the computers had the wrong time. At 10 a.m. in the morning, about a third of the computer said 2:59 p.m. I don't know how they keep track of when things are occurring when the time on the computer is not even correct. On Wednesday, I walked up to a table, and one of the computer operators was logging in, and she logged in as an admin. So she had full authority to do anything she wanted into that system. Did everybody in that facility use the admin in order to log into the computers? I also saw the routers with high amounts of transferring and work when there was nobody even monitoring the copy machines that were collecting the ballots. Nobody was at the computers, but there was a lot of data going across those.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Patrick here. Joe is hung up. Sorry about all that. Little last-minute change of plans. But thanks for tuning in today. And what you just watched was testimony from 2020 Michigan, once again, uncovering voting issues within our systems, the systems that everyone has told us is safe and secure. Well, this safe and secure system has led to the degradation of our society because it is not safe and secure. It is a system that chooses selected leaders to impose political will on the American people that they don't want. The American people don't want what is going on in our society, haven't had for a while now, but yet it keeps getting shoved down our throats and in our face, right? And we got a great guest today, Mike Ariza, returning. He's going to talk about the energy crunch going on in California. But it's not just only in California. The energy crunch is going on all over the United States. The prices are going up, and we all know when prices go up in energy, everything else runs in line with that. Prices go up all across the board. So before we go any further, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hello, Patrick. Thanks a lot for having me on again. I truly appreciate you using letting me use your venue to get the word out about how bad things are in California, and they're getting exponentially worse at this moment.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. Joe's show, we bring it. We bring the truth. We let people share what is going on there that everyday people typically don't talk about, know about, hear about, or understand why it's occurring. They just, every day, head down. I'm working 9-10 hours a day. Don't know really what's going on. Oh, I got to pay this much. No, but this is systemically being done to us. Correct, Mike? Is this purposely being done to us?
What's happening, you have to be so dumb to not realize what's going on that I could come to no other conclusion that it is intentional.
Yeah, fair. I want to play this clip because we just finished with Michigan in 2020. Now, this is another clip from Michigan recently from the House Energy Committee. And you got to hear what's going on with the cost of their energy prices in Michigan. Let's play cut 2.
But here's what we're looking at. We have already raised electric rates since 2019 by $365 a year. About 250 of that is directly caused by the increase in wind and solar. We are using about twice as much wind and solar in our system right now as we did in 2019. But that's not even the scary number. If $260 doesn't scare you, think about what happens if we actually do what the law from 2023 said. Our research at the Mackinac Center suggests that electric rates for residential customers could increase $2,000 a year. $2,000. Wow. We're paying $1,100 now, and the direction we're going will go to $2,000.
So, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Same things happening here.
Now, didn't they push this for a while, though? Like, alternative energies will actually, like, reduce cost over time? Or am I just, like, not remembering this correctly?
Yeah, no, you got it, Patrick. That's so they're pushing that everywhere. Yeah, it's going to reduce your cost, and it's had the exact opposite effect.
Yeah, so what are we supposed to do about this? What's the answer here? Because Michigan's not the only state. California, we're going to get to in a little bit. Maryland is also on the docket. It seems like all these blue-dominated states that have these same types of energy principles wind up hitting their base, their constituents in the pocketbooks. Why is this?
Because they need to reverse course. They need to reverse course. A lot of the power plants in California have shut down. They totally rely on the solar. One thing I found when I'm running the campus, you can see the kilowatts just dropping way off. Same thing, cloudy days. It's not providing, it doesn't provide what they say it's going to provide into the grid. When you start to go in the afternoon, the kilowatt generation drops way off, and then you're back to starting up like gas turbine plants and stuff like that. But a lot of the plants that they had, a couple of nuclear plants in California got shut down. Those costs, running those plants, it just exponentially climbs. It goes to the roof. And the folks that need the power are the ones that end up footing the bill for it.
So how come other states, their costs continuously kind of stay flat or even without a significant increase? What ideas do you see work in states that keep their energy costs relatively cost efficient?
Well, you have to have a balance. There's nothing wrong with wind and solar per se, but you can't make it your primary. You relying on it to be your primary source of energy when you're looking at the weather, especially getting into Michigan, the wind, snowstorms. I mean, weather's a lot worse than California. And even in California, with your changing weather conditions, it affects your main supply. When you're affecting your main power supply, then that's when you run into trouble. They're not factoring that in. It's kind of like what they're trying to do with EVs in California. They're not factoring in all the cost associated with that.
Yeah, and it just seems like they are more dead set on this is what we're going to do. Doesn't matter if it's better or worse, but this is the way we're going because we say it is. It's the old double down. Like you said, they need to reverse course, but do you ever see that side ever reverse course on any policies?
Well, no, and in California, we're heading off a cliff right now. We're just literally, Patrick, we are totally going off a cliff. We're in a worse position than the state has ever been in, and it's getting worse. Going to California specifically off of our fuel production, because a lot of the power plants in California that are here are still using natural gas or using fuel. So the fact that we're not producing our own crude oil, and now we're not producing all of our fuel, our gasoline, jet, and diesel, it's really gotten the state in trouble.
Fair. And you're not the only state. And just real quick, for quick reference, what's the average cost of a tank of regular gas out in California today?
Minimum prices right now are about $5.50 to $6 a gallon, but I got a farmer sent me a picture of Oakdale where diesel was $9.30 a gallon and the gasoline was $7.80. You get in towards the cities, San Francisco, Sacramento, especially down in LA, you're pushing $7-8 a gallon now, and that's just the beginning. It's about to get a lot worse.
Fair. And what percentage of that do you figure of the overall cost of that for that gallon of either diesel unleaded? What percentage of that overall price is due to taxation put onto it by the state?
Yeah, well, California has the highest state tax of any state in the country. You got your low carbon fuel taxes, your cap and invest taxes. They even tax you for tanks that are underground at gas stations. There's even like 2 cents a gallon in that. And then there's an automatic price increase that occurs on July 1st. Coupled right now with typically it's like $1.80 a gallon with all the fees and the taxes somewhere in there. But now it's increasing as the price of fuel increases because our supplies now are almost at a historical low in the state. Our supply of gasoline, jet fuel, gasoline, and diesel, they're at very low levels right now, and they're about to get much lower.
Yeah, it's just not a good mix. And we got the war going on in Iran, right? I believe the Strait of Hormuz is still blockaded today. Now, are you seeing a relatively sharp increase in prices of oil across the board? Or what are you seeing with the international flow and pricing of oil right now?
Well, same thing everybody else is seeing. It's been going up, going down. If it opens back up, the strait opens back up. Obviously, it's going to go back down. California is hit particularly hard because the rest of the country is not directly affected by the Strait of Hormuz. California is, and it got itself in this situation. Permits and wells have dropped off 92% since Governor Newsom took over, and so our crude oil production's way down. Where you got a state that has the 5th largest oil reserves in the country should be producing its own crude oil, which it used to do for its refineries. We're importing 60% of it. So right now we have a bullet coming at us from the imports from Asia, from India, South Korea, Singapore, and China. They stopped shipping us fuel about March 20th, I think it was. They stopped shipping fuel across the ocean to us. Because they had to cut all their refineries back from the Strait of Hormuz because they get all their crude oils coming from the Middle East. California, this is the ironic part of all. I've told people back in the 70s, excuse me, when we had a crude oil embargo, once the crude oil came back, we still had the refineries to come back up and get us out of the trouble we were in and the country lined out. But now California, we had 40 refineries. Now we're down to 7. So with that crude oil import from the Middle East that California has taken, no place else in the country's taken. It's just California. Right now, our refineries are cut back. Their rates are cut back. So we are making less jet fuel, diesel, and gasoline with the 7 refineries that we normally would. And now we got these imports that are about to drop off the cliff. They're stopped. So we're going to, California, unfortunately, in about 2 or 3 weeks is going to start seeing shortages across the entire state, and it's going to cascade into Reno, Vegas, and Phoenix. I suspect, knowing the numbers, moderate to actually severe shortages. That's where we're heading.
And that'll creep up nationally, would you figure, eventually?
It shouldn't affect nationally. It's California's own special policy problem created by the governor and the rogue Air Resource Board, the Energy Commission. It's solely a problem created by California. No state in the union is dependent on jet fuel, diesel, and gasoline production like California is. You're relying on foreign sources. Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, they all, they went in down the same path California did, to where they're totally relying on imports. And right now, Australia's rationing big time. New Zealand's a basket case. The Philippines, they're in trouble. All of the countries like South Korea that supplied their fuel, India, Singapore that supplied their fuel, they had to cut back because the crude oil from the Strait of Hormuz got cut back. So those refineries had to, all of them. Andy Waltz confirmed it a couple of weeks ago that all of the refineries, Chevron refineries in Asia, are cut back. They are on reduced rates, which means those, if you have a Chevron refinery that's in South Korea and you cut back, you got to take care of South Korea.
Right.
You can't ship the excess off anywhere, California or any other place, that normally would receive fuel, Australia, the Philippines. So we're in that pool with the other countries right now that are rationing and hurting, and it's about to hit us. The last of the ships that have been loaded with fuel, probably about a week now worth of them, but after that there's nothing behind them. There's a huge hole, and it's going to last for months, because we're importing 40 to 42% of our fuel is imported from these foreign sources.
You're talking about the state of California.
Just the state of California, and Reno, Vegas, and Phoenix are totally dependent on us.
So it could hit a couple of states. Looking at,
it's going to be the whole West Coast,
Nevada, up Washington, Oregon, the whole.
It'll affect Washington and Oregon too, but Nevada's, there's no seaports there. Nevada's just, they're hosed. They're going to be bad shape. But it's going to be the same thing. It's going to, California just work its way right on through to those states. But Nevada and California are going to be the ones hit the most. Military, jet fuel. Like 2.5 weeks ago, South Korea, the professor was we did a town hall at Chico State University. He got a text in the middle of it, and the text was, South Korea just stopped shipping jet fuel to us. China shut off diesel and gasoline like 4 weeks ago. Same thing with Singapore. So California is in its own screwed itself over situation.
And it makes sense what these other nations are doing. They're looking at self-preservation. They're not worried about shipping out their oil because they're worrying about where the next batch is coming from. So everyone's just kind of hunkering down to see how this plays out. And
they have to. It's contractual too. You're in a host country. You're not going to starve them of fuel. Correct. It's just not good policy.
No, I absolutely makes sense. That's business. That's their business. And if in Indonesia, right? If you're dependent on fuel coming in that you got to refine to send out, but your country's going to need that fuel because you're not sure when the shipments are going to be coming. You're going to be holding on.
Yeah.
You're going to be holding on to that. And from what I've seen, I don't know if there's any timetable for how or when the strait's going to open up. Have you heard anything or know anything, or
I haven't heard
playing out?
Well, as far as the strait, it'll open up. I'm really impressed with the president's strategy right now. But California is its own animal. Back in when I first collaborated, met Assemblyman Ellis and Professor Miche, we had a meeting, and then back on October 21st, we wrote our 10-page report on force readiness and the impact of the military and what California's policies were doing. We called for the Defense Production Act to be invoked under the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. The very last paragraph of that brief, we told the president that it needs to be done now. We can't wait. Things we saw when we got together, the three of us. We have 120 years of experience in the industry between the three of us, where the professor's like the researcher, Assemblyman Ellis is the scientist, but he has multiple companies in refineries all over the country. And then I ran Valero, I ran Flying J. So I literally flew the plane. The professor calls me the practitioner. But within that first meeting, we got halfway through it, and we realized that we're in a lot bigger problem than any of us individually had thought we were when we put our collective knowledge together. So the professor went to Washington, D.C. That brief was published on October 21st. Then, before Phillips and Wilmington shut down and before Valero and Benicia shut down, Andy Waltz, CEO, 2 weeks later on September 5th, I'm taking this off an interview he did. He said, I think we are already at that crisis mode. I think we're already there. So here's the CEO of Chevron saying California is at a crisis mode. And California, its governor, its air board have been at war with the refineries for 20 years. They need to sit down. They need to change the way that they are doing business. It's affecting multiple businesses, especially the cap and trade, which has resulted in a lot of businesses leaving California, not just refining. Then what happened? Wilmington shut down on October 17th, and we were concerned, the three of us were concerned that when it shut down, we would reach the limit of our infrastructure in the state to offload fuel tankers. You know, if the fuel could be made elsewhere, which they were able to do, that we would actually reach our limit at a limit of our ability to offload the tankers as they showed up. That didn't happen then, but almost at the same time, by coincidence, Valero canceled their crude oil contracts. And originally they stated they were going to shut down in April. Well, when they canceled their crude oil contracts, we kind of figured that they were probably shutting down around January because there's no way they were going to make it to April. And that's exactly what happened. January 31st, they pulled feed from the crude unit. 2 days later, the professor received thermal imaging reports saying that the refinery was cold. Then what happened, and this is where we found out that we've reached this infrastructure limit, because within a week, prices in California started going up. Before the Iranian war even started, Northern California prices were up 70 to 90 cents a gallon. And that's because we had reached that critical infrastructure limit. When Valero went down, it was 4.3 to 4.5 million gallons of gasoline a day, 1.3 to 1.5 million gallons a day of jet and diesel. And we just reached a limit where you could not float ships fast enough. When I went to pick my wife up at San Francisco, San Pablo Bay, I was looking out, and there were like 10 ships sitting out there with their stacks running, and they were all fuels tankers waiting to offload. So Valero went down. Then the news media kept reporting they were going down in April, and it said no, they were down January 31st, and that caused the prices to start increasing, which we had all predicted. The three predicted this was going to happen. And then the state, not listening to Andy Waltz, instead of say, hey, well, yeah, let's go ahead and get together. Let's have some meetings here. Let's talk about all this stuff. You know, what do we need to do to help facilitate, you know, your refineries to run, to stay here, maintain your sustainability in the state. They doubled down and changed the cap and invest. They're voting on these amendments in May. The cap and invest, which is cap and trade, they changed the name. That's going to raise Chevron's costs by like $500 million. And then the PBF Corporation, it goes up 400% to like $340 million. Now, keep in mind, these refineries will shut down every 4 or 5 years. They'll do a maintenance period. They'll spend $300, $400, up to $1 billion maintaining and upgrading their refineries. And they expect it to run for the next 5 years and make some profit.
Right.
But they've been hemorrhaging money. And now the state wants to cause them to hemorrhage a whole bunch of money. And the kicker on this is all over the green stuff and, you know, carbon and all this other crap. Well, the polluting refineries in the other countries and that send the polluting ships across the ocean, they don't have to pay this. It's just the in-state refineries that have to pay this fee. So what happened about 2 weeks ago, and this was unprecedented in history. About 2 weeks ago, Chevron, Marathon, and PBF all sent a letter to the Air Resource Board and to the governor telling them, we are willing to sit down with you on this new cap and invest, and these amendments they're going to vote on. They said, we are willing to sit down with you and talk about this. We need to talk about this. If not, the viability, you know, it's untainable. We are probably going to shut down our refineries and leave. That means the 6 of the remaining 7 refineries would shut down. And it's like Valero. Valero Benicia went down from the economic standpoint for their company. It made more sense to them to take a $1.1 billion loss to just shut down and leave and get out of the state. And when they announced that, their stock went up. But now Chevron, but now Chevron, if these 3 companies shut down, and the thing is, they know what's going to happen to the state. This letter they sent to the board and to the governor, it was a courtesy letter saying, hey, we're done with this. We're totally done with this, okay? This is over the top. You have to sit down and talk with us about this. We're not doing this. They're basically saying, if you don't sit down and talk with us, we're done. We're going to shut down. And they're not taking it lightly. Andy Walsh, the CEOs of Marathon and PBF, they know what's going to happen to this state. Like Andy Waltz says, Chevron, which I worked there for about a year, a long time ago, they make 60% of the jet fuel for San Francisco. PBF makes the other 40%. That's a real easy number.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Orange County, all those airports gone. And there won't be enough jet fuel for the military. The military, that's where right now the military is at big time risk because Valero supplied Travis. It's down. The other thing is diesel. That's a big one. The Port of Los Angeles, it's more food for our country coming through the Port of Los Angeles than any location in the country. And the port at Long Beach and the port at Oakland up north. You have no diesel, they're down. They're not running. Everything coming in stops. Cities have 3 to 4 days of food, 5 days tops. You have no diesel, you're not transporting food. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you show up at a grocery store for a stalk of lettuce, you're somebody that's rich. If it's not there, you're not going to get it. And that's where the real danger is lying. Other countries cannot produce enough. You're talking 20 million gallons a day of gasoline on top of the 15 to 17 million we're importing right now. It can't be done. It can't be offloaded here. There's no way to, if it could be done, there's no way to get it in here. 14 million gallons a day of diesel, 9 to 10 million gallons a day of jet is going offline. And these CEOs know this. And the part that's crazy, well, the whole California's damn government's crazy, but they haven't even really responded to these companies. This is unprecedented in history. This has never been done before.
And that's what I was just going to ask you. Just listening you talk through and explain all that very clearly. My simple question was going to be to you, what are the lawmakers looking to do?
Nothing right now. They haven't responded.
Perfect. Sounds about right. Now, follow-up question. Is this willful ignorance on their part? Or are they more compromised by special interests, forcing them not to respond? Which one do you think it is?
Well, I don't want to put words in Assemblyman Ellis's mouth, but he's asked that question sometimes when we do, we're on different things together, and he says some of his colleagues, they listen, they understand, they agree with him, but they're afraid to go against the party and go against the governor, which is it's sad. It's like, when I went down and met Stan Ellis in Sacramento 7 or 8 months ago, I also went to a couple of different Democrats' offices. I set up appointments because I saw like Connie Petrie Norris from Irvine, who graduated from Harvard and has a couple sons. She's down there. And I showed up and she says, well, what are you doing here? And I had actually wrote my own brief as to what I had learned to that date. And I said, well, I was watching you on KCRA3 out of Sacramento on the Air Board and the Energy Commission, and you were asking them questions and they were not giving you any answers. I'm here to do that. I'm here to give you the answers to what you were asking. And I gave her the brief and talked to her. And you think about it, if mass chaos, Mad Max, Atlas Shrugged occurs in this state, her family's down there in Irvine. They're literally afraid to buck against the governor and the party. And Katie Grimes from the California Globe wrote an article about the Air Board that was really fascinating. Was apparently a lot of the edicts or decrees that they are making are coming off of studies done by Tsinghua University in Beijing, China, where Xi Jinping went to school. So here's the biggest polluting country, highest polluting country in the world, does a couple of these studies, and California's using it. I think this at this point, like I said earlier to Lynn before we came on, at this point, you got to be one of the dumbest persons on the planet to not see what's coming, not see what's happening, and not understand. You got many experts, not just me and Professor Miche and Assemblyman Ellis. You got many experts saying, including CEOs of the companies, saying, hey, this is really bad. You need to change course here. And it's not happening.
It's amazing. The party that screams no kings, this, that, and the other thing, totalitarian state we're living under, is actually them, because their own party is fearful to make the case to change course because this energy crisis is going to unleash hell on the people of California. But can't say anything because it's against party lines.
Well, they are.
That's a problem.
Yeah, the professor was at a testifying for one of the state senators, I forget which one, a couple of weeks ago about this excise tax, relaxing that, and this low carbon fuel standard, relaxing those fees right now. And he went up there, came up from Pasadena, and he does all this on his own dime, and he does phenomenal reports. And he said the thing that stunned him, and it's just got him. He says, not one Democrat asked him a question. Not one single Democrat after he finished asked him a question about anything. So yes, it's to that point. So what's going on now? The professor, along with Professor Miche, USC, and I believe it was Professor Richter from Berkeley, they got together and they wrote 7 executive orders, sent up to Washington, the executive orders that they think that need to be done that could get California out of this crisis. They also sent a 2-page letter yesterday, the day before, about the shortage, about how short the inventory of the state is of gasoline with the diesel, and when we are going to start having shortages, and their best estimation, educated estimation of how serious the shortages are going to be. Some of those were to restart the crude oil off the outer continental shelf, to actually reanimate the Valero refinery, get it back online, which we need to do while it still can be brought up online. So we go back from October, and that one, the op-ed you have I wrote, we go back from October where we're saying we need the Defense Production Act now.
And Austin, let's put that up. Let's put that up on the screen at least, so our viewers can see it. And if you can get Mike and me together with it, that'd be great. I know I'm asking a lot right now, buddy. Sorry. That's going to be B2. Thanks, buddy. All right, Mike. He'll be working on that. But let's talk about that op-ed. It's from military threat to mass starvation, right? That's the title I'm looking at.
That's correct.
Yeah, and it's talking about just today, the California Globe posted a report on executive orders for the president's considerations. Now, what you said there were 7 of them?
Yeah, they wrote 7 of them.
Okay.
They took a lot of time. If we had a diagram of what we need to do to fix this problem, what do we need to do? So they basically wrote the 7 executive orders to give President Trump a guide on, we need first of all, you need to invoke the Defense Production Act immediately. I mean, we needed to do it months ago, but it needs to be done now because we're on the edge of a cliff now. People, and the thing is people, and just like you said, they're doing their thing, they're working, well, people are seeing they're getting hammered with the prices, but folks don't think beyond that. What exactly is really causing this? They hear Trump, the Iranian war. Well, Trump, they get that hammered in their head. Well, our critical thinking in our country, and especially in California, is just gone in the toilet. You need to look back and go, why are these prices going so high, and what's next? So many millions of people don't ask that question. Oh, well, what's next? Is this the end? Is it going to come here and hold, or what caused it? What really caused it? And where are we going from here? Well, right now we're going to go to prices that we've never had in the history of the country, and then we're going to go to shortages that we've never had in the history of the country. I mean, not since like World War II, but then we didn't have shortages. We just rationed for our military purposes to fight the war. But California is about to go through the biggest shortage across the entire state, cascading into Nevada and Arizona. And the whole purpose of those executive orders was to give POTUS guidance. Invoke the Defense Production Act under the Supremacy Clause. Do it now. And these are steps we think will help expedite the repair the damage that has been done. And like bringing Valero up is one of them. Bringing crude oil production up is another one. And they already did that. They started up the 3 offshore platforms. So they're pumping 50,000 barrels a day into the state now through pipelines to the state. So we're at that point. And it's a really outstanding report, outstanding 2-page letter that was on POTUS's desk yesterday, showing him, hey, California is about to run out of everything.
So, Mike, we got your letter shot ready. Austin, let's put that up there. And Mike, if you want to just talk our audience through some of this point so they could get the gist of this letter. I believe it's a 4-page letter. Op-ed, sorry. Keep saying letter, it's an op-ed. I do not want to discredit that whatsoever.
Yeah, none taken, brother.
So,
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead, Mike. Go for it. And Austin will scroll as you're going through what you want to hit on these points to make sure. Can you see it?
I can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, let's see here.
But I wrote it, so I know what's in it.
All right, fair enough.
So let's go.
Let's go. From this meeting, our first paper, California Energy and Fuel Policies, a clear and present threat to national security and force readiness, was written in this 10-page report, which was published in Washington, D.C. on October 21 of 2025. We clearly outlined the problems, the causes, and the potential effect that it would have on both California and force readiness. So you originally started with that, and then it is ballooned into a bigger problem, correct? Instead of not just focusing on our military readiness, now we're talking on basically starvation can happen because of all this with the increase of energy cost.
Yes, because in summary, we wrote that report then, knowing seeing what we saw, and we wrote that report with our concerns, which were legitimate concerns. See that there's 2 of the refineries back in 2023, ConocoPhillips in Rodeo, California, San Francisco Bay Area, and then Marathon and Martinez, also San Francisco Bay Area. They converted those to renewable diesel. When they did that, they took 350,000 barrels a day of crude oil processing offline. Where that matters is when they take that processing offline, you just lost all the gasoline and almost all of the jet fuel that you were making from running the crude oil. So now you got this renewable, I call it garbage, but renewable diesel. It's expensive. The companies are losing money making it. They've been losing money making it because it's a lot more expensive to do for various reasons. So back in 2023, we already started at a deficit of about 15 to 20% of our gasoline and jet being imported. Okay, started the imports back then. Then you went into 2025. In 2024, Wilmington, Phillips and Wilmington and Valero both dispatched the letter to the state saying we're shutting down. And that was because of all the egregious fees, regulations, fines. And then the governor signed into law this requirement for the refineries to hold up fuel. They wanted, like if we had to shut down or some problem, we'll go, you guys just go ahead and hold up fuel. Well, that takes millions of dollars out of their pocket. And then the government wanted them to build additional tankage. That's hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's like, where? Try to get a permit in California, the whole 9 yards. So after Valero, and remember, Valero doesn't own any crude oil. That's a big factor in some of these companies, their decisions. Exxon, Chevron, Shell, they own crude oil. Valero doesn't own any. So Valero spent $700 million putting in, basically replacing the 2 crude unit furnaces with 2 brand new ones, putting in a steam generator, a MEA scrubbing system, and a wet gas scrubber for the emissions that had been going out the main stack for, since 1969. So that was just to eliminate SO2, sulfur dioxide, and particulates that would slip out the main stack. Again, it was causing no problem, but they wanted to do it. The state basically told Valero, you got to eliminate that. So Valero spent the money. And then, probably like 10 months ago, year ago, maybe about 10 months ago. No, before that, a little over a year ago. Anyway, the Air District fined them the largest fine in the history of the state, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, on their hydrogen generation unit, which makes hydrogen and CO2. It's the cleanest unit in any refinery. And the state was claiming, well, they're discharging, for like 15 years, have been discharging cancer-causing agents and discharging reproductive harm agents. But if you go back to 1969, when they opened, there have been no elevated cases of cancer or reproductive harm problems in the city of Benicia, the industrial park, and all the workers. There's been nothing. There's no evidence of that at all. So Valero, San Antonio is like, okay, this is enough. We're done with this. And the kicker on this one, which, a massive conflict of interest, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District changed the way the fine was distributed. Of the $82 million, I think 40 of it went to this. 40 million went to the city of Benicia, the affected community that wasn't affected. And the mayor of Benicia is on the air board. So Valero's like, we're done. We're out. The state tried to court them at the end of November, offered them like $240 million. Hey, we'll give you this money. Could you guys go ahead and stay open? And Valero said, no, we're going to take $1.1 billion loss and we're out of here. We're done with you. So that, it went from there. And then all of the, we reached that infrastructure limit. Valero went down. Travis's jet fuel supply went offline. Now Chevron has to make it. So we're basically importing what Valero made, diesel jet gasoline, trying to import it, but we can't import that whole amount. We're at the infrastructure limit. And then like I said, with the cap and invest, you got CEO Andy Waltz back in September saying we're at the crisis mode now. We're there. September, 2 weeks after our brief. Wilmington shut down. Valero shut down, and then the state, instead of listening to Andy Waltz, and I'm sure he wasn't the only CEO telling the state, "Hey, you guys need to work with us here. Your industries are leaving California left and right. Yamaha, Budweiser, a whole bunch of industries they're shut down and leaving." The state doubled down with that cap and invest, and then you have the three letters from the companies, again, unprecedented in history, never happened before, basically threatening to shut down if they don't negotiate with them on the cap and invest. That's where they said, we're done. We're drawing the line right now. This is the line. And then the professor and his colleagues, Professor Miche and his colleagues, went ahead and drafted the executive orders. Also, again, say, hey, you need to end votes. You got the Defense Production Act for the offshore oil platforms, and that oil's restarted. But it's not going to do us any good when all of the refineries in the state are shut down. It's not going to do us any good. No refineries, crude oil is pretty much useless.
Yep.
And everybody sees that. The CEOs see that. They know what's going to happen to California. So at least from October all the way till now, we've been, us and the CEOs and different people in the industry have been saying, hey, you got to do the Defense Production Act for the refineries. You got to save the damn refineries. The refinery industry is crashing, and the state's going to go in the toilet.
Yep, and you need that to produce gas and fuel, plain and simple.
Well, jet fuel, diesel.
You need to refine the oil. It doesn't go from the ground into the machines. There's a process to get the oil ready for the machines, and if you don't have that process to get the oil ready for the machines are no good, and the oil is no good either.
And a big one with the military is if Red Hill in Hawaii is down. That used to be the big fuel supply, but that's been shut down. So now we have, I think, in Guam, maybe Australia. Well, look at Australia right now. They're choking. They're rationing. If something happens to those fuels terminals, it's California supporting the entire military. If there's some type of issue in the Indo-Pacific theater, it's going to be California mainly supporting it. And then, it's, I heard one time it was like, hey, China, will you please keep supplying us with jet fuel while we're defending you against Taiwan?
You mean the other way around?
Well, that's what I mean. You're gonna keep giving us, supplying us jet fuel in California because we were stupid and we shut down our damn refineries. Yeah. We made them all shut down, and now we can't take care of ourselves. And right now, that's where we're heading with the shortages because we can't refine our own. This whole state was like a country.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
It's huge. The economy was huge.
Self-sufficiency should be self-sufficient, if not dominating the American economy.
Yes, and it used to be. Building ships, building planes. In California, building nuclear submarines on Mare Island. California is the 5th largest reserve of oil in the country, and it used to actually export crude oil. And it had crude oil supplied for all of its refineries, and all of its 41 refineries back in the day made all of the fuel that California ever needed. That's why, you'll hear it's an energy island. Well, no pipelines were ran to California because it didn't need it. The rest of the country needed to interconnect, from the Gulf and up in the refineries in Oklahoma and the East Coast, that they needed to interconnect to the rest of the states with their fuel and the crude oil runs. But California never needed it. It wasn't until Newsom and these Democrats got a hold of the government, got a hold of that industry, along with many other industries, but especially this one, because this is 8% of California's GDP. Okay, the refining industry. If you lose that, you don't have the other 92%. You're down.
That's a big number. And you sent us this picture. Let's put this up, Austin, B3. It's a picture from a gas station. You got this purple sign. California has the highest gas taxes and fees in America. Is this that? There it is, right there. Is this a movement going on in California? These signs going up all over the place. Are you behind this? What do we got with this? Or is this just bringing awareness? What do we got?
Straight up, that is Chevron trying to cast out a lifeline to the state. There's another sign that's much more prevalent where it shows.
Let's go to B4, Austin. Let's go to the other one, right? You talking about the one about Sacramento? I believe that one right there. Sacramento policies did this.
Yeah, I talked to Mike Umbro a couple of days ago. He said they're coming up. Those signs are going up all down in San Diego. They're going up in the entire state. It is a campaign by Chevron to make awareness, because, like I said, Pat, the CEOs, they know what's going to happen, and Newsom, they blame everybody but themselves, especially Trump. They blame the war, which no, it's totally California's policies by the governor and by this rogue air board that have caused this. And this is Chevron's. I call it Chevron's last ditch effort to bring up awareness. It's like, people, you're pulling up to the pump. Here's this big sign. Here's this QR code. Check it out. Okay, this is what's really going on. You're not being told this. They're trying to bring up awareness so that the public will start screaming at the governor and start screaming at the damn, the Democrats in the legislature, and say, hey, we're done with this. You guys need to fix this. You're telling us one thing. The news is telling us one thing, but looking at this, and then what's going to be interesting is when I'm assuming Trump is going to invoke the Defense Production Act sometime real soon in the near future. What's going to be interesting to see what the state does when we have people in gas lines. If the state tries to sue him for invoking the Defense Production Act for the refineries, because it's like,
that's going to court. That's happening.
Yeah, but now
that's going to happen.
But we've never had in history where people are standing or going to a station and they can't get fuel.
We had that 70s.
Yes.
The 70s. What is that, 50 years ago now? Yeah.
But the thing was, we had the refineries. It was crude oil, totally different situation.
Correct. But there was still gas rationing lines, right? And back then in the 70s, people, I'm going to say it here, people were more civilized to each other back then. What do you think it's going to look like in 2026 when everyone's the most important person in the world, me first? What's that going to look like if there is your license plate starts with an odd number, you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you start with an even, you go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. What is that going to look like in America? How's that going to play out?
Oh, in California, it's going to be crazy. I mean, look at the toilet paper shortages. Well, I mean, it was insane. It's a whole different mindset, even all back then. It was a different mindset. I would like to say we were much more resilient. We didn't have our phones or iPads. I mean, I can see some of these people, Gas Buddy says there's gas over here. And they go over to this other gas station. Oh, man, they're out. Yeah. What the hell? My car's on empty. What do I do now? Yeah, no, it's going to get crazy. It's going to get insane. That's what we're worried about, is total civil unrest. And if it starts to affect the food chain, it's affecting prices big time already. It's been affected. People just kind of doing their thing. Gasoline's way up, diesel's up, food prices are going up big time in the state too.
What do you think? Have you heard about the problems or pricing of fertilizer that is going to be possibly hitting us, not this season, but I believe I heard in the fall, the planting season, the fall planting season, supposedly the pricing is really going to shoot through the roof on the food because of the fertilizer.
Well, that same farmer that I was talking about, red dye diesel, it was $2.80 a gallon in December, and a big rice farmer up here said they bought 1,000 gallons of red dye diesel. It was $5,800, so it more than doubled. Their fertilizer got so expensive they tore their contracts up.
Wow!
And said we can't do it. We just can't do it.
And that's another thing that nobody's talking about is
the
price
food
of the fertilizer pricing and that impact that it's going to lead on our food supply chain and the price.
Well, and ours in like the African continent, the planting season right now, you got urea, ammonia is made in the refineries. It's actually it's a byproduct of the refining process, but it's, you got your nitrogen and your urea and all that. Yeah, the supplies are running low big time. But yeah, I won't say their name, but they're not alone. It's her reply was a lot of farmers are going to leave the state, shut down, or they're just going to go bankrupt. We cannot afford this.
And once again, there is no reversing course, though. So rubber is going to meet the road, and the people that are going to pay the price are the everyday Americans who don't want anything to do with this. Just the same with everything else. Like the everyday Americans don't want to deal with this, but yet politicians keep prioritizing special interests, ideologies over what actually is just practical and best for Americans. And that's going to lead to some problems on the streets. Once people are told they can't get their gas when they want, people can't afford the food that they want. They don't
have the food that they want.
Right. And what is it? 72, what are you, 3 days before you're in a war? If you're 3 days without food and just watch what people will do? I think there's
3 or 4 days. Yeah, 3 or 4 days. I've had extensive discussion with this with retired Brigadier General Holt, who's really a logistician with in the Air Force. Had a lot of discussions with him. He flat out says 3 to 4 days. I said, I agree with that number, but it's I don't want to fearmonger, but this is reality. This is real. It's really happening.
We're two gentlemen having an honest conversation using critical thinking skills. Typically how and why dominate to uncover what's really going on. And we're just talking. It's no fear mongering. It's just, this is where it's going if course isn't changed or course is reversed. And it's the reality. You can't just ignore the problem. You can't say it's going to self-correct, because it's not. It's not going to self-correct because it wasn't made this way. It was made by the policies you guys put into place. And if you don't change these policies, like you've said, we're going to go off a cliff you're going to go off a cliff in California.
Yeah, Pat, the real big problem, we mentioned the 70s. If we're going to experience shortages here, that's just a fact. They shut off fuel to us. Asia did pretty much on March 20th, March 23rd, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
we're going to experience these shortages. And the big point with the 70s was when the crude oil came back, we had the refineries to get us out of the trouble, start making all our fuel again, and bring us back up online, get the country back off its knees and run on down the road. We don't have the refineries to get us out of this shortage.
We have the oil. We don't have the refineries. We don't have
the refineries.
We could produce, but we choose not to.
Well, that's part of it. We could, push comes to shove, we could get the oil. We should be producing our own here. Absolutely.
Correct.
But the refineries right now, you look at it a month, 2 months, maybe 2 months minimum, where we're going to be in a shortage situation. Even if things turned around tomorrow and India, and all these countries started, crank right back up, you're looking at another month and a half to 2 months before those fuel tankers will start to arrive here.
Yeah, you got a long ways to go across the oceans.
They got to come back up. They got to get the tankers there. They got to fill the tankers, then to get them coming across the ocean, and all of that time, we're going to be sitting here sucking wind in this state.
I hear you.
Just bad.
And it's a problem because California is supermajority. So this is strictly done by one party rule in your state, right? Correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I envy my colleague and friend Assemblyman Ellis, because he gets in there and tries as hard as he can. But when you got someone like USC Professor Miche goes in there and testifies about these things that are just total common sense and doesn't even get a question from the other side, that says it all.
Yeah. And I want to play this cut for you because we're going through the same thing here in Colorado with a supermajority. Supermajority just dominating our life, liberal policies just being shoved down. Businesses are fleeing, right? Like the economy here in Colorado is not doing well. A report I just saw out of Rocky Mountain Voice said somewhere around 300,000 jobs have been lost over the past 3 or 4 years here, have left the state. Like that's a huge, huge number. Huge number. And I want you to check out this video, and I want you to give me your thoughts. Let's play cut 2, Austin, about Democratic control in Colorado.
Since Democrats took full control of Colorado's state government in 2019, they've passed over 100 bills creating tax credits that reduce Tabor refunds. The biggest drain? Green energy subsidies. They started with $5,000 electric vehicle credits, then expanded them in 2023 to cover heat pumps, e-bikes, and industrial upgrades. These programs take $90 to $130 million a year from refunds. Then they added more credits for families and renters. Democrats diverted over $2.3 billion from Tabor refunds between 2021 and 2025. That's an average of $736 lost per filer. Money families could use for groceries, gas, education, or rent. Taxpayers voted no twice on attempts to cut Tabor refunds. Now Democrats are pushing a 2026 measure to permanently cap refunds and keep more money in government. It's time to repeal these tax credits and restore Tabor's promise. Tell your legislators to stop the theft and put our money back in our pockets.
That kind of sound familiar to you, Mike?
Oh, it's a clone. It's a clone. I mean, they're in bed with each other. It's a clone. This high speed rail. It's
the rail to nowhere in California.
I've driven through it a couple of times. It grows a little bit here or there. I forget how many billions of dollars. Not a track has been laid. And it's all a boondoggle, and it's a shakedown. It's absolute shakedown of the public, and the people that are working, the people whose lives depend on these extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. They're the ones getting hurt and crippled, and those people don't care.
They don't. And $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in the everyday average American's pocket at the end of the year means something to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like like that ad said, your food, your gas, especially here. Food and gas going through the roof now. It's
a way I could invest for my kid, make sure my kid is set up in the future, right? Just they constantly take. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Colorado actually had over $1 billion surplus budget 5 years ago. And now we're operating in a deficit because of these policies over the past 4 years. Since 2020, it's been off to the races. Let's go broke.
And that's,
go ahead, Mike.
That's incredible that, Colorado is not nearly the size of California, especially populous.
No, not even close.
To burn through $1 billion in that state, that's insane.
Homelessness through the roof, illegal immigration, right? Entitlements, all those things getting paid out in the medical field, in education, right? Housing, all that stuff gone. Now to the place where Colorado is actually operating in a deficit, and you're telling me these principles work. And yet the people in this state want these principles that constantly take more money out of your pocket. If you're a common sense person, you look at this like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah, I want my life back. I want my life back. Leave me alone. Stay out of my pocket.
Right. And the problem is outside, like, we believe that, but the problem is we have to fight every single day just to keep what we have. It's absurd what's going on in our country. And I want to close with this clip. And this clip is going to be Justice Thomas talking about progressive policies. I want us to listen to this clip, talk about it, and then, Mike, are you comfortable with praying us out?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so that's how we're going to finish today. So let's play this clip, Austin, C3, and I want to hear Mike's thoughts on this.
At the beginning of the 20th century, a new set of first principles of government was introduced into the American mainstream. The proponents of this new set of first principles, most prominent among them, the 28th President of our country, Woodrow Wilson, called it progressivism. Since Wilson's presidency, progressivism has made many inroads into our system of government and our way of life. It has coexisted uneasily with the principles of the Declaration. Because it is opposed to those principles, it is not possible for the two to coexist forever.
So Justice Thomas saying it's impossible for the Declaration to coexist with progressivism. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a lot of progressivism, in my opinion, is morally bankrupt in a lot of ways. Our country was built on founding for the people, people's rights, and progressivism is the exact opposite. They steal your money, they steal everything, and I just totally agree with the justice. Spot on.
And I heard that for the first time today, and that hit me because I feel that way and I believe that way, and I got a Supreme Court justice believing that way. The guy's smart as hell.
Yes, he is.
So then the question is, what's the end game? How do you have a nation coexist when you have two different ideologies that cannot coexist together? What has to give?
Well, we have to push back. We have to push back. We see what's going on in Colorado, California, Washington State,
New York, New Jersey,
Chicago.
New Jersey's about to elect a radical. I don't know if you've been following this, but they have a special election today for a Republican seat to go to Congress because the representative became governor. They're having a special election in Jersey, and the leading candidate on the Democratic side, who they project is going to win, recently was pictured in a shirt with the Statue of Liberty on it, being handcuffed behind its back and thrown on top of a police car. So I don't know how you can actually have a cohesive government when you have a group of people that believe
with
that way.
With that mindset, yeah.
I don't know how we do it. I really don't know how we do it. And outside can only take so much. But also at the same time, outside exercises a lot of restraint because we have families, we have values, we are busy, right? Like we have a life that we're protecting. I fear that it's eventually going to come to our front door, and by that time, it's too late. So
we are. I agree with you, Pat. We're at a war. We have a war going on internally in this country.
I know, Mike.
And it's California is about to get a big taste of it the next 2 or 3 weeks, like has never been seen before. And I pray that it doesn't go off the cliff, but it's not looking good.
I hear you, brother. Me too. We don't want to see our own nation hurt. Like we don't want to see our own people put in a difficult spot, regardless. Like it hurts. It bothers me. Like I truly don't want to see Americans hurt. At the same time, when you have these principles that are constantly being enacted, the repercussions are going to be what the repercussions are. And it's just going to be tough to watch. It's going to be tough to watch.
Yeah, we're crippling the whole West Coast right now. And people don't realize that Colorado all the way to Maine, to Florida, the whole country can and probably will be impacted by this. California was that shining star in our country, stronghold, strong economy. It's getting ready to crater.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, let's hope our politicians wake up. Let's hope. That's the best we can do. Hope, pray, spread awareness, let the people get the information, have the people make a decision, have the people get active.
Amen.
Well, not yet, Mike. You got to pray us out first. You don't start with an amen. We got to end with an amen. So let's do it, brother. You want to pray us out? You good with it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In awesome. Mandarin or English?
Your choice, brother. Your deal.
No, this is our American citizens are watching this. Hey, God, Father, will you look out after our country? Look out, especially California, Colorado, please look out for Joe's safety and Patrick and Lynn as they run these podcasts to get the truth out, and all the other folks in this country that are patriotic, that believe in you and believe in Jesus. Please be with us. May you have your spirit come down upon us, shine through us, make us that shining light up on the hill again that America once was. But especially again, Father, I'm very concerned about California and all of the people in this state. Please put your almighty hand down on it. You are all powerful. You have the strength and the spirit. Please help us, those that are fighting for this. Please help us to turn this disaster that is coming down upon us, Father. We love you very much. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for your son. In Jesus' name, we all pray. Amen.
Amen. Mike, great conversation today. Beautiful prayer. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Pat.
much.
Appreciate it.
Of course. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Class dismissed.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the